The fourth season of the UTEP Minors Dynasty is in the books. Our season ended in the Rose Bowl, where we lost to the eventual national champion Oregon Ducks. But it was a highly successful season, which continued our trend of constant improvement throughout the dynasty. We still have yet to have a sub 500 season, and it feels like we're not going to have one anytime soon. We started 7-6 in year one, then went to 8-6, and then we exploded, making our first ever playoff in year three. And now we have a playoff win to our name. Aaron Jones, what a start to his coaching career. It felt like year four was kind of a continuation of year three, as we retained a lot of our key players, and we had a lot of other players make leaps, and we were largely the same team from year 3 to 4 that was pretty much unstoppable at the small school level. But now, I have decided to make a leap. We will be joining the Big 12 next season, and we are going to have much better competition. So now the job is to prepare our roster to go up against teams like TCU, Arizona State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, who made the national championship last year. The Big 12 isn't the best power conference, but it's certainly an upgrade from what we've gotten used to playing in Conference USA and then the Mountain West. Year 5, I don't think is going to be as much of a continuation, as we're going to be graduating some of the cornerstones of our team, namely our running back core, Jace Clarizio and JQ Gray. Our wide receivers, 4 of them will be gone, and then plenty of defensive studs such as Messiah Delhomme, who is projected to go round 2 in the draft. Do we have any other players projected to be drafted? It appears not. I wouldn't be surprised if Charlie Collins goes round 7, especially after he broke the Mountain West all-time single-season sack record this year. But one thing we found out at the very end of last episode is that we will very likely be losing Tanner Applewhite, the quarterback that we eventually turned to as our main QB1 after Rich Beelin had some struggles this year, and then we eventually found a groove with Applewhite being the passer and then Beelin coming in as our short yardage running quarterback who runs options and designed runs. But apparently the playing time wasn't enough for Applewhite. He wants to be the unquestioned starter somewhere else. A very low persuasion chance. And honestly, I think I'm just going to let him go. I'm not even going to bother trying to persuade him, because Applewhite, I think, is somebody that did the job for us. He brought us to a lot of wins. Definitely grateful for him. But I do think we could do better, especially with the move to the Big 12. I think that if there are any quarterbacks that are 90 overall plus, I'm going to go pursue them. I just spent a coach upgrade point on Aaron Jones to increase the speed of scouting quarterbacks. So that's going to be an emphasis for us, as the quarterback play was solid but not necessarily elite this year. I think it was more the defense and the running game that propelled us to a near perfect record. So Applewhite will likely be gone. Kevin Cordero will also likely be gone. And this is maybe the player that I was most disappointed to see on this list. 76 overall redshirt sophomore. He was part of that inaugural recruiting class. He was an athlete that projected as a linebacker, and then I switched him to the edge where he got a lot of playing time in year 3. But what I'm really hoping happens is that Charlie Collins ends up getting drafted, because that would then increase the pro potential grade for UTEP for the edge rusher position, and that could convince Cordero to stay. Receiver Eduardo Polanco also wants to transfer, and he has a medium persuasion chance. And, I think I'll probably persuade him to stay, as he was somebody that I was very excited about in that first recruiting class, but just never really panned out with the speed. He's going to be a senior next year, unless he was able to preserve a red shirt. I'm not sure if he was, but I'm still waiting on that speed upgrade from 82. We're going to go with Polanco first. He has decided to stay. So the Polanco saga continues. If he gets a little bit faster, I would consider giving him a role next year, especially with all the receivers that are leaving us. And now time to see if Kevin Cordero ends up staying, and I just realized I don't know if Charlie Collins getting drafted or not is even going to matter, because this is ultimately the moment where Cordero is going to decide whether or not to enter the portal. But here we go. Cordero has not been persuaded, and we have lost one of the premier players from the year 1 recruiting class. Maybe we could try to recruit him back in the portal. I know that the game allows you to do that sometimes, but I'm going to let the rest of these guys go, including Applewhite, who I really am going to miss. He had some great moments this year, but also some ugly ones. And I do think we can find somebody that has similar throw power, but better accuracy, better speed. Or we could potentially get some nice development from Miles Reeves, who was our 3rd string quarterback last year and has that, I think, impact development trait that gives him a chance to potentially be a starter down the line. So here we go. We're going to simulate to the draft now. Round 2 for Messiah Delhomme, the leader of our defense for the last 3 years. He started as a strong safety, then I moved him to free safety. He was just a do-it-all player for us in the secondary. He should have a great NFL career. But what I'm really happy about is Charlie Collins, round 6, and Jace Clarizio, who I think should have gone a lot higher, but I'll accept round 7 after a near Heisman-level season. I always like to see if any other teams in the Mountain West had players drafted. Demarcius Davis has been drafted in the 7th round. So the injury kind of cut his senior season short, but his career will continue in the league. That's nice to see. Ole Miss, who we beat in the playoff, had 3 players drafted: Chauncey Bowens, Caleb Odom, Morris Pourdanesh. Bowens and Odom go round 2. And looking at the champion Oregon Ducks, no first-round picks, but 5 second-rounders. Connor Driver entered the draft as a redshirt sophomore, and he ended up going round 2. Kamar Mathuti also goes round 2. Kingston Lopa, and plenty of other players, primarily defensive players. Oklahoma State had 5 players drafted. The top one was right tackle Gus Hawkins, but Tyshawn King, Dwayne Early, and Rodney Fields also got drafted. A lot of recognizable names from Texas got drafted as well. Jonah Williams, who I remember picked us off in the year 3 game that we won. Cade Phillips, who had 8 interceptions this season. And honestly, this might be the most players drafted from any team. I think that's 15 players from the Texas Longhorns. One thing that really excites me about this Big 12 move is it will allow us to play more teams from Texas. My goal at the beginning of the series was to play every team in the state of Texas and potentially beat them all. Texas Tech, you're next on the list. Same with TCU, although they're no longer in the conference, but Baylor is, and same with Houston as well. But it's officially time to look ahead to next season's roster. Building it starts right now. Welcome to the transfer portal, as we already have 22 names out of 35 filled here with high school players. The one I'm most excited about is cornerback Eric Muti. In a time that we really need to bring in some cornerback talent, Muti is going to be a top 100 high school recruit, number 1 player overall in the state of West Virginia, number 8 cornerback in the country, and he has star development. Starting off with 79 zone coverage, that should figure to eventually evolve into the 90s. I would be surprised if it doesn't. But we also have plenty of offensive line talent coming in. Floyd Lloyd is the number 53 player in the country, raw strength guard, and a few other 4-stars. This is the first year that I have allowed myself to recruit 4-star players. Alex Guillermo, tight end from El Paso, Texas. DeAndre Capra, 4-star receiver who's 6'5". Sterling Werlo, route artist, as well as a 4-star running back, Frank Davey. So we certainly have some reinforcements coming in, but traditionally we have built this roster through the transfer portal, and I think we're going to need to do that again if you want to make a championship push. And the very first thing I'm looking at is the quarterback market. Who can we potentially pursue? The best one with interest, Kamani Wall, freshman transfer from North Carolina. He did not play last year, so I think he will be coming in as a redshirt freshman if we're able to land him. And then we have Orlando Lashley from Georgia, who also did not play. Adam Ford from NC State, as well as Russell Henning, who did play, and he was not good at all. 12 touchdowns and 17 interceptions for a dreadful Virginia Tech team. So I don't think he's going to be the guy that we bring in. What are some other options? Carl Nall from UCLA. Oh, look, Chasten Ditta. We played against him, I think. He was the backup for New Mexico State, and we blew them out a few times to the point where Ditta would just come in off the bench. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be the answer for us. Well, I'm definitely going to add the 2 4-stars to the board and see which one is better. That feels really nice. I was able to scout the quarterback in just 2 clicks. And this is Kamani Wall. 91 throw power, 77 speed, decent accuracies, and we're hoping that he has good skill caps as well. Lot to like about the 6'3 Kamani Wall. Now here's the 6'2 Orlando Lashley, and he's got 83 throw power. The backfield creator archetype is just really wonky. You see a lot of these types of players. Everything else looks pretty solid, but right now it looks like Wall is far and away the better player. So we're going to immediately offer him a scholarship, and we're going to send the house. Lashley, not really interested at all. We're going to remove him. The top quarterback on the entire market is Mike Wolf, who comes from UConn and had a really good season with the Huskies. He's actually the top player in the class, ahead of players like Lamont Rogers from Texas A&M, Josh Sturm from Tennessee, best receiver Chris Ratley from Toledo, wow, and then Ben Biederman also from South Carolina. But unfortunately, we can't pursue any of those players. The best player that we can pursue, Lamar Williams from Maryland. We had success getting players to transfer from Maryland in the past. Messiah Delhomme came from there. And, you know, I think we do need to look at bringing in at least 1 tackle here in the portal. We have Miles Isaac, who I think will be a starter next year, but we need to worry about the other starting tackle. And I think Lamar Williams, with an agile archetype, figures to fit in really nicely with us. We're adding him to the board, as well as Tylon Lee. I think we actually found him in the portal last year and ended up bringing in Charlie Collins instead. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but Lee is a name that I am familiar with. I know that he is going to be a really powerful pass rusher. He had 4 sacks last year for Tulsa. I think he's going to be a senior next year. Has us 3rd on his board behind Notre Dame and Texas. I'm also going to take a look at Adam Ford here. Forgot to scout him. He is a 6'5" dual threat. That already sounds like something I'd like. 90 throw power, 78 speed. The deep accuracy leaves something to be desired, but I do think this is a really good backup option to Wall. So we're going to keep Adam Ford on the board. The next position I want to look at is center. And we have plenty of interest from some good centers. Tyler Rathman, agile center from Maryland. So this would be cool to bring in 2 Maryland offensive linemen. We'll add him. Cornerbacks, this one is huge. We don't have any 4-stars that we can get in the portal, but the best one is 3-star DeAndre Willikis from New Caney, Texas. Came from Texas Tech. Certainly would be nice to steal some players away from our now conference rival. Had 2 interceptions last year for the Red Raiders. And then it might be nice to bring in 1 more safety. I don't really care if it's a free or a strong. Jesse Rich needs a partner here in the secondary. And looks like the best transfer target might be maybe Deshaun Crane from Colorado? I don't know. The safety market looks pretty dry this year, and honestly, safeties don't develop very well in this game, so that might be why. Not a lot of teams have top 3 interest here. You have to scroll a little bit down on the board. Dennis Bartow from Nebraska, and then from UAB, here is Eric Gray. And I like the idea of bringing in a coverage specialist, or a hybrid, so I'll add both of these. Oh yeah, I almost forgot the other 2 key positions here, running back and receiver. Ooh, I don't mind this as a JQ Gray replacement. Nigel Ballage out of Liberty had 14 rushing touchdowns last year. Very efficient and really good in the receiving game. I don't know if I want him to be the number 1 guy, but he's one of the highest ranked running backs with interest in us. Levi Perkins as well. He comes from Houston and didn't have as good of a season, but I do want to see what his ratings are. Ooh, here's a guy from West Virginia who had 18 touchdowns. Cam Settles, East-West playmaker. I think he'll be a senior next year, so we'll have to replace him right away. And I only have one more spot on the board here to add a receiver, so I'm going to have to remove some guys. But we'll add one more player here, and then we'll start scouting. Well, unfortunately, no 4-star receivers on the market here. Dom Riemersma is the highest rated with interest. Speedster, like the sound of that, coming from Western Kentucky. All right, we're going to start with the highest ranked players, and then we're going to work our way down. Lamar Williams, left tackle from Maryland. 89 run block, 93 run block finesse. All right, I like the sound of this. He gets an immediate scholarship. Tylon Lee, edge rusher from Tulsa. 92 power moves. 95 pursuit as well. This guy could play linebacker. Cornerback DeAndre Willikus. All right, we know he's athletic. We know he's at least serviceable coverage-wise, better at man than zone. I think this guy could end up developing into something really nice. He's only a sophomore. Now here come the running backs. The long-haired Levi Perkins looks pretty solid. Honestly, looks pretty similar to Jace Clarizio. Maybe a little bit worse in the ball carrier move department, but just really solid at everything. Then Nigel Ballage. Okay, not interested in 81 speed, 76 juke move, especially for receiving back. He gets the boot, despite having really good stats. And then Cam Settles. Can he be a little bit better? Only 58 awareness, but everything else looks really good. I'm not sure how much awareness actually matters for a user-controlled running back. I'm going to target this guy. And let's see what we got with Dom Riemersma. Is he really a speedster? Well, not really. I kind of like some of the freshmen that we're bringing in more than this guy. Not bad, but also I'm looking for better than this. And now we'll scout Maryland center Tyler Rathman, and just really, really solid all around. Okay, one of the things that I'm going to do to clear some space on this very crowded board is I'm going to clear DJ Moffitt from the board. This is a high school running back I was targeting, but similarly to Ballage, I'm just not interested in bringing in any slow receiving backs. I have not had much success recruiting high school running backs at all this entire series. We already have one coming in Frank Davey. He's committed, and he's a fair bit better than any of the other ones that I've found. Isaiah Hippenhammer, also faster than most running backs that I've found so far. So the odd one out is Moffitt. I even might end up removing Hippenhammer from the board as well. I haven't even offered him a scholarship yet. I want to focus on Perkins and Settles. And then I also found this contact seeker from Washington State. This is George Swoop, top 100 transfer. And these stats don't necessarily look like anything special for how high he's ranked, but he does have the workhorse ability. It's not showing me the trucking, but he does have 82 break tackle. I'm kind of just looking for a short yardage guy that can replace Jalen Dupree. Not going to be a super high usage player in the offense, but I do think someone like this would be nice to have. I was thinking about adding a tight end to the board. This is Hollis Davidson from Auburn, but I realized that as soon as I did, Alex Guillermo was now not having his deal breaker met. So it turns out Guillermo's deal breaker is playing time, and as soon as I remove Davidson from the board, Guillermo's okay again. So it looks like we're going to be relying on a lot of youth at the tight end position. Guillermo might even start as a true freshman. He's definitely the highest profile tight end recruit we've ever targeted. We haven't gotten the commitment from him yet, but he is an El Paso native and doesn't have any other offers at the moment, so you would expect him to be a member of our team. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and remove Hip and Hammer too. I'm going to go all in on recruiting running backs in the transfer portal. Okay, I'm liking what I'm seeing from freshman safety transfer from Colorado, Deshaun Crane. Good speed. He's a coverage specialist. We know the zone's going to be pretty good. The man is in a good spot, and he has a robber ability too. This could potentially be a good replacement for Delhomme. He has a 7th on his board right now. B+ championship contender grade for us. That's his deal breaker. And he's going to get a scholarship offer. Okay, I've spent every single one of my 750 hours for the first week of the offseason period. Here is the breakdown. I have a few high school recruits that I still need to nail down. Some of them have other offers. So for the ones that I anticipate competing for, I have put a little bit of hours into them. The closest one looks to be 4-star gem receiver Sterling Werlo, who has an offer from Boise State. Hopefully 25 hours will be enough, as he is very close to a commitment. And then moving on to the transfers, Kamani Wall, of course, our top target. The best quarterback that we could possibly pursue, and could potentially be our quarterback for a long, long time. He's just a freshman. Then you got Lamar Williams getting 50, and then Tyler Rathman, his Maryland teammate, getting 25. Tylon Lee gets 25. I was thinking about it, and I realized that we do have quite a bit of edge depth on this team. Not a lot of them were playable last season, but they could potentially become real rotational pieces in the future. Players like Sam Yee, Kevin Rizzo, they're all waiting in the ranks. So edge is not really a need for us. I think we could replace in-house for someone like Charlie Collins, but also the talent of someone like Tylon Lee is just too much to pass up. I mean, this could potentially be even better than Charlie Collins with all the abilities that he has and the 92 power moves. So we're definitely throwing our hat in for Lee. Willikis is getting 50 because I really am emphasizing getting that number 1 cornerback again that we really didn't have this year. Deshaun Crane, really like his ratings. He's going to get 25 hours. And then we are pouring hours into 3 different running backs. Cam Settles is my top target. I liked the combination of speed, ball carrier moves, and 77 break tackle, 89 change of direction, 80 catching. The guy does it all. And then Levi Perkins will get 25 hours. George Swoop, not as much of an important target. I did give him a scholarship though, and he'll be getting 10 hours. I forgot to check where Tavian St. Clair went in the draft, and turns out he went first round. And I believe he was the highest rated quarterback in the country this season, so this makes sense. Heisman going in the first round, Tavian St. Clair. Another thing that I meant to check was, I was wondering if Bryce Underwood would end up transferring after he got his starting spot yanked for a freshman, Devion Carden, on Duke. But turns out he is staying. I don't know what's going to happen. It looks like Underwood might be riding the bench for the rest of his college career the way this is going. But this is an interesting story. I was really hoping that Underwood would hit the portal and then have a Jalen Hurts-like resurgence with a different team, but that is not happening. All right, let's see if we spread out our hours too thin. All right, Tylon Lee, 5th place. Looks like he's getting a lot of interest. And yeah, we're outside the top 3. Notre Dame pursuing him, Texas pursuing him. Oregon wants Deshaun Crane, the safety, and if you know anything about this game, it's hard to recruit against Oregon. We are down in 5th place despite giving him 25 hours. DeAndre Willikis, though, has us first ahead of UNLV. Cam Settles has us first, but at the same time, it says we're not meeting his deal breaker, which is pro potential. Okay, we're right on the borderline. There's nothing we can do about that. I don't think that's going to impact our ability to bring him in. And also first place for Tyler Rathman. No competition for him so far. Levi Perkins does have a really strong offer from North Texas. All right, so we have 385 hours to play with. So that's going to allow us to be more aggressive with some of these players. All right, we're not too far behind the rest for Tylon Lee. I do think that it's possible to get back into the mix if we're able to send the house. I think that's all we can do. We now have the pitches opened up, but we don't have many X's and check marks here on this board. Crane, though, that's going to be really, really tough. Maybe one more week of aggressively pursuing Crane because I really do like him. You see he has the check mark for program tradition and also a deal breaker for championship contender. And that's actually good information because that means that we have the ideal hard sell narrowed down. It's hometown hero. Not exactly his hometown. He's from Stockton, California, and the grades are not great. So it really just depends on whether this hometown hero is better than just sending the house. I think we're going to give it a try for 1 week. Okay, George Swoop is getting a lot of interest from TCU and UTSA. I don't think I'm crazy enough about him that I want to compete with them. So Swoop is now going to come off the board. Ooh, I like this. Kamani Wall has us in first place now, ahead of Maryland, Penn State, and Pitt. This is going to be a tight battle to the end, but right now we are winning it. Not in the top 5 yet, can't send any pitches, but we do know he has playing time deal breaker. Our grades as a whole are not that great. We only have one A+ grade for Wall, which is playing time. Our coach stability went down since we had a defensive coordinator change, and a lot of our other grades are in the B's and C's. So still, that's not one of our strengths as a school. We still kind of have to deal with stuff like that, even after our success. Ooh, Boise State is making it really tough on us here for Sterling Warlow, and they have a visit scheduled for week 2. So we're going to go the week after here, week 3. And we'll give him the playing time, A+. So with Warlow, A+ playing time means that we should probably keep the receiver board where it is and not add any other top receivers because that could end up messing with him. And I think this has a chance to be one of the best receivers that the Dynasty will ever see. Look at these starting ratings for a high school player. That is absolutely immaculate route running. Looks like some of these high school players had their offers pulled. Floyd Lloyd now no longer has an offer from OSU. Dwayne Bowles no longer has an offer from Navy. Alex Guillermo no longer has an offer from App State. So a lot of these high school players are ours. Tony Mallory, no offers. He's one of the 3-star quarterbacks I found. Callum Harris, we're going to win that battle in a landslide as well. I think he had an offer from Texas that was pulled. Ooh, Dennis Bartow. Transfer safety, 90 zone coverage, but the acceleration is in a really bad spot. Let's see what Eric Gray looks like. 80 speed, man. Okay, it's going to be really important to bring in Deshaun Crane. So let's go ahead and give Deshaun Crane a visit here. B+ championship contender. And maybe we can give him a complimentary here with Willikis. Okay, so Willikis is going to be visiting with Crane. We have his hard sell nailed down. He's going to get an A grade with the playing style on the visit. And the only team competing with us right now is UNLV. But the question is, will that be enough to keep us in contention with Oregon for Deshaun Crane? Looks like we're going to have to fight tooth and nail as well for Lamar Williams. No surprise there. What do we got to do to hold off Tennessee? Pro potential is D- for offensive linemen. That's not a great sign. A+ playing style, though. So we're going to have to schedule a visit for Williams when we're able to. Oh wow, I recognize this name. Damon Brazil, the speedster from Hawaii. He's had some really good seasons for them. We played against him multiple times. So we'll see what happens if we add Brazil to the board. What happens to Warlow's deal breaker? Yeah, it does nothing because I was wrong. It says playing style instead of playing time. So it actually doesn't matter. We can add as many receivers as we want. Damon Brazil, how about that? It's not going to be easy to bring him in. He wants to go to either San Diego State or Oregon State. But maybe we can make a late push if we send the house. Oh, I just realized I can also add more hours to Kamani Wall. We have a recruiting upgrade for quarterbacks that allows us to give 60 hours. So we will be doing that. We can't do that for any other position, it seems. So that's going to be it. We have no more points to spend here in week 2. And we are now in second place for Sterling Warlow. Boise State has overtaken us, but it looks like they haven't done it by much. We now have a big week coming with Warlow visiting campus. Can we retake the lead now? Damon Brazil, we're still in third place for him, but we are creeping up on SDSU and OSU. Oh, we are now not in first place anymore for Kamani Wall, even though we sent 60 hours his way. Maryland and Penn State are now above us. Deshaun Crane, yeah, we don't have much of a chance to land him. Oregon is running away. But everyone else in first place. Yeah, we're right behind Boise State here by just a hair, which means I think we have a chance to take a big lead here with the visit in week 3. We're now in the top 5 stage for Wall, which means we can pitch him. Wall has tier 5 pipeline boosts for both Maryland and Penn State. Gonna be really, really tough here. Okay, we have it narrowed down to either the clutch or campus personality. We would rather it be the clutch. So we have 60 hours to spend. So now the question is, do we go with 2 soft cells? Do we go with a hard cell and a soft cell? Or do we go with a soft cell and a sway? There's many ways to approach this. Sways have not been very successful for me in the past, even with the high success rate. Even with 2 check marks, I've failed more than I have succeeded. I don't know if I'm going to eventually regress to the average, or that's just kind of how it goes with swaying. Honestly, I think I'm just going to go double soft cell because I feel like we can't afford to be wrong on either a sway or a hard cell. Plus a visit, which is going to have the complimentary boost with Sterling Warlow and an A+ playing time grade. So that tells me that he could be our day 1 starter if we're able to bring him in. We're now in the top 5 stage for Lamar Williams, and we're in first place just ahead of Tennessee. And we can also stack the visit boost with Kamani Wall. So we're going to go with the double soft cell. It could either be clocked in or gamer. So now we have 3 offensive players visiting, and why don't we make that 4 for week 3? Tyler Rathman will also join in. Man, even after the visit, that's how far we are behind for Deshaun Crane. So unfortunately, we are going to have to stop targeting Crane and look elsewhere at the safety position. Damon Brazil, well, okay, I guess we'll give it 1 more week. We might have a chance to sneak in. We did make more ground here this week than either of the 2 schools ahead of us did. So that makes me believe just a little bit. Cam Settles, we're number 1 over Illinois still, but it's going to be close. And we have taken first for Levi Perkins. Unfortunately, we just haven't gotten that much information at all when it comes to the ideal pitches for Tylon Lee. We still have no idea. We only have 1 check mark here, and it's the same thing as his deal breaker, so it tells us absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, we're locked in a super tight battle. I'm really, really hoping that final week 4 we can get a good jump with the visit, and that can carry us to victory. But right now, it's not looking great. But as we move into week 4, I am keying in on what happens here with Sterling Warlow. Does he commit to either school here? What happens with Kamani Wall? Are we able to get back into first place with the stacked visit that we have coming up? And are we able to pull away for players like Lamar Williams, Levi Perkins, and Cam Settles? We got our first commitment, and it's Sterling Warlow. Let's go! 4-star gem. One of the best recruits the school has ever brought in from Loveland, Colorado. DeAndre Willikis also says hello. From New Caney, Texas, we have our newest cornerback transfer out of Texas Tech. And that's all we get for now. Tylon Lee has narrowed down to his top 3, and it does not include us. So we will be able to direct our attention elsewhere. It's probably for the better that it happened before the final offseason week, and now we can just go pick up somebody else. Cam Settles, still in first place for him. Wall, oh my! Look at how much of a lead we have for Kamani Wall. Lamar Williams. The visit really worked here. Love it. And we have a really nice lead here on Levi Perkins. So overall, this was a really good week of recruiting. Unfortunately, we'll have to remove Tylon Lee from the board. But pretty much everybody else was a success. Now we just have to bring everybody home. And now that we did the soft sells, we have the hard sell with Kamani Wall. It's the clutch, which is the better one of the two. So now I'm going to switch to my other strategy of going hard sell, soft sell. Well, this is a little concerning. I didn't remember the playing time grade being so bad for Lamar Williams, but right now it is F grade. And yeah, I have no idea why, because this is totally someone who's going to walk in and start for us. So I don't even know if this hard sell is strong enough for me to continue using it. So I'm just going to go with the regular send the house and hope that works a little bit better. What the heck? It's an F playing time for Cam Settles as well. What's going on? It was an A+ not too long ago. What do I have to do? Do I have to get rid of Levi Perkins? This is such a weird thing. I wish it would have told me earlier. But I guess the running back room is too crowded for Cam Settles. I mean, at least it's not his deal breaker, but I just don't like that a grade has suddenly changed from what I thought was an A, or at least a B, to an F. Well, it's not like we're completely out of the running. We're just going to go with send the house now. Week 4, though, we have a visit here for Cam Settles. And, you know, just for insurance, I do think I'm going to stack it with a couple other offensive linemen. We'll go with Floyd Lloyd here. That's our best high school offensive lineman on the board. And then we'll go with Dwayne Bowles. Okay, I accidentally clicked the wrong button here. He's going to be coming with D- academic prestige. I guess we're going to take him around the classroom part of the campus, which that certainly was not what he was expecting, but I think it shouldn't be a problem because there's no other team that's given him an offer. So this is what you got, Dwayne. Just got to deal with it. All right, looks like Damon Brazil has a visit scheduled for week 4, which means that we can't schedule a visit, which means that we're likely not going to get him. That's unfortunate. Our board is now down to 27 players. We've had to trim some of the fat, but now I guess we can look towards replacing some of the players that we cut from the board. Oh yeah, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to go and look for Kevin Cordero and see if he was still on the market here. He is. We're not even in his top 10. However, his recruitment is open, and I would very much be interested in bringing him back. So Kevin Cordero is now on the board. We, of course, do not have to scout him, but we are going to offer him a scholarship. We are the first team to do so, and we're going to give him, I guess, 25 hours, just to make sure. But yeah, I got distracted from the main good news, which is that we are in line to land the best quarterback that we have had a chance to land in the Dynasty. Kamani Wall from North Carolina. Just a centimeter, a couple pixels away from committing. Let's see if there are any other realistic receivers that we can snag that don't have any offers yet. Angel Ichen, a gadget, 5'11", 193. Is he worth a look? John Foku, 6'2", speedster. All right, he has an offer, though. All right, well, looks like the best unoffered player available is going to be Angel Ichen. So we'll take a look at him. We'll see if his speed is decent. And if it is, we will give him a chance. 89, not terrible, but, you know, probably good enough to have a role on our team. So we're going to offer him a scholarship. We're up to 29 new players coming in. Oh, I didn't realize that playing time was the grade that I scheduled the visit for Cam Settles. I'm really glad I caught that. Now that it's an F, what I have to do now is remove him from the board, re-add him, and then schedule him for a different type of visit. Good thing playing style is still an A grade. Okay, that's going to help things quite a bit. All right, I think the last thing I want to do is take a look at any safeties that are lacking offers. And J.D. Sieg is at the top of the list. I remember him. He came from, I believe, Wyoming. Yes, indeed, he came from Wyoming. He had 7 interceptions this season. A couple of them were against us. He does have 1 offer, though. And I don't know if we're going to be able to compete with BYU. I guess I'll add him to the board. We'll see. I removed both of these safeties that I originally had on there, but Clay Armour, he was actually one of the players that I recruited in the first high school class, only to lose to Colorado State. But now he wants to leave Colorado State. He doesn't have a single offer, and I'm pretty sure he's not very good in the coverage department. But this is a familiar face. I guess I'll add him for now. We're going to have slim pickings when it comes to safeties here. Almost no more strong safeties available. I guess we can take a look at Zanai Scott. Okay, no offers for Zanai Scott, and he's by far the highest ranked available. So I think J.D. Sieg is going to be a BYU Cougar. We can forget about him. Zanai Scott. 95 speed! Oh my goodness! Yeah, we have to bring this guy in. I'm going to fully scout him just to see what we have. Blow up ability as well. He's a hard hitter. Sign me the hell up. I don't even care. I'm sending the house. I want to make sure we bring in Zanai Scott. I guess we could look at bringing in Clay Armour as well. We know he's nothing special. Yeah, he's got 83 speed. Okay, you know, we could use the depth. Sure, we'll bring in Clay Armour for the plot here. All right, here's our final board of targets. Looking for upgrades at pretty much every position. And we have our strongest high school class yet, on top of a board of very, very interesting transfers, including potentially the best quarterback that we've seen play for the UTEP Miners in this dynasty, Kamani Wall. All that's left is to see the results. Simming to National Signing Day. Here we go. Who's going to start us off? It's Floyd Lloyd, the high school guard from Oklahoma. Alex Guillermo, El Paso native tight end. Callum Harris, Mike linebacker. And here we go. Chesapeake, Virginia's own Kamani Wall is your newest UTEP Miner quarterback. Figures to slot in as the starter based on how high he was ranked in the portal rankings. And we could be looking at our quarterback of the next few years. Welcome, Kamani Wall. Tyler Rathman comes from Maryland to be our new starting center. Levi Perkins, the newest running back. Did we end up getting Cam Settles? Yes, we did. We have our newest 1-2 punch at running back. Cam Settles and Levi Perkins. Damian Bohanna joins the offensive line depth. Dwayne Bowles as well. Tony Mallory, a depth quarterback. Javier Slade. I'm still waiting on a few big names. He's one of them. Lamar Williams, welcome from Havana, Florida. Angel Echen, wide receiver out of Englewood, Colorado. And Clay Armour, you were destined to be a Miner in the first place. Zanai Scott, the speedy safety. And that's going to round us out. Wow, we didn't end up getting Kevin Cordero. That's crazy. He actually got an offer at the last second. Yeah, it was from Iowa State. Goodbye, Kevin Cordero. Hello to your newest crop of UTEP stars. Kamani Wall is the headliner. I'm so excited to see some of these guys' ratings. All right, I want to see the dev traits, but I actually want to see our recruiting class ranking before any of that. And it is a top 25 class in the nation, number 25. It was our first year bringing in high school 4-stars, and we end up with 8 4-stars in total, 21 3-stars. And it's time for the moment of truth. Here come your dev traits, and we'll start with the high schoolers. Floyd Lloyd, our best high school recruit ranking-wise, has impact development. And Damian Bohanna, despite having the bust status, he has impact as well. I knew he was going to be good, just by the ratings. I knew I didn't want to take him off the board just because he was a bust, and that is vindicating. Dwayne Bowles, he's a gem, and he has elite development. Let's go! Is that the first elite dev freshman that I've ever found in this game? It might be. Alex Guillermo, only normal dev. Yeah, his ratings weren't perfect. I know I was a little bit swayed by the fact that he's from El Paso. Normal for DeAndre Capra. Okay, some of these are not news to us. We saw them on early NSD. Impact for the gem Sterling Werlo. Impact for Nick Abraham. Normal for Trey Kafka. We knew that. Normal for Frank Davey. Impact for Tony Mallory. I thought it was going to be tough to find good quarterbacks at the high school level, but we may have found ourselves one. A long-term project here. Tony Mallory comes in with good starting throw power and decent accuracy as well. Impact for Channing Coleman. I believe we knew that already. Devin Burks has impact. Callum Harris, normal dev. Of course, we know Eric Muti has star. We got a punter in Javier Slade. He has normal dev, and he's immediately going to be coming in better than Michael Kudavitis, though. That's all I really care about. Only normal dev for Kamani Wall. Man, that's a little bit of a buzzkill considering his ratings were so good. He was so young. I'm not going to sweat it because I think he's already going to walk in as the best quarterback that we've seen in the Dynasty. Hopefully he can grow just a little bit. Lamar Williams, impact dev. Tyler Rathman, impact dev. Really good offensive line class. Impact for DeAndre Willicus. Impact for Levi Perkins. I think we're having more impact than normal dev, to be honest. I wonder if we're going to end up playing against Kevin Cordero with Iowa State. They are in the Big 12. Normal for Angel Echen. Cam Settles has normal. This was something that I was not expecting. So I guess we'll have to wait and see who ends up being better, Settles or Perkins. And impact dev for Zanai Scott. I think he might be a senior this year, so he's only going to have one more year of development. But if we can get those coverage ratings into the 80s, we could be looking at someone who is as good or even better than Messiah Delhomme. My goodness. And I guess we got Adam Ford, even though we didn't even offer him a scholarship. We were still so far ahead of everybody else that he ended up just signing with us anyway. I'm not mad at it. His dev trait is normal. All right, so 2 really highly rated quarterbacks that we just brought in. However, both of them are normal, and then the high school kid that I didn't think was going to be anything special ends up having impact. Interesting. Alright, one thing I always like to do before I can't view this anymore is look at some of the top players in the whole portal and also the high school class. The top transfer in this portal was Isaiah Haywood, wide receiver, going to Michigan. Top quarterback I thought was Mike Wolf, but when I switched to looking at everybody instead of just the recommended players, turns out Julian Lewis also entered the portal from LSU. He goes to Arizona State. Darren Moffitt. So Michigan went after a lot of receivers. They also got the #1 receiver in the high school class, which is Venzel Green. So wow, Michigan is going to be really, really scary, trying to turn themselves into WRU. Best player in the high school class, by the way, is Keelan Quinton. He committed to Clemson a long time ago. Ricky Gammon, the linebacker, he goes to Oregon. He's the top defensive guy. Devontae Smith, cornerback, goes to LSU. Top quarterback is Lorenzo Gage. He goes to Oklahoma. So he's not going to play right away. Mike Wolf is also coming in from UConn, and he is one of the best quarterbacks in the portal. Very curious where Tanner Applewhite ended up going. How long am I going to have to scroll down in order to find my guy Tanner? Here he is. Oh, he did not get an offer. Tanner, you could have stayed with us. I lied. I didn't even try to persuade you to stay with us, but that is quite a bummer. I wish you went to South Carolina. That would have been cool. So many players just disappear in this game. It's so annoying. Top defensive player in the portal appears to be J.D. Branham, who transfers from NC State to Duke. So staying in state there. He is a Sam linebacker. All right, gonna see if we can find any other UTEP players in the portal. We know Cordero went to Iowa State. Rashawn Coleman goes to Arkansas. That's nice to see. Going back to his hometown. But kind of funny that Rashawn Coleman, the guy who didn't play at all and was lower rated than Applewhite, finds a home, while Tanner Applewhite does not. What is the logic there? Now that we're moving to the Big 12, I'm going to see how our class ranks up with the other Big 12 schools. Arizona State looks to be the only team to get a better class than us. They might end up being our top competition this year, with Julian Lewis heading the snake. They also had, who I believe was a top quarterback in a previous high school class, Tim Skillen, still on the roster. What's going to happen with that quarterback room? Of course, we have to deal with Oklahoma State as well, and they just got a really nice class as well. No 5 stars, but still one of the best cornerbacks in the transfer class in Jet White. And they also got themselves a new quarterback, Kay Jamerson. We'll have to see who that is. Oh, and they got another one, and another one. Oh my goodness. 3 quarterbacks here in the top 5 commits. Dang, man, not a single 5-star player committed to a Big 12 school. The rich really do get richer in this game, which I guess is pretty realistic when it comes to college football, but still, you would expect the Big 12 to land at least one. All right, it's time to change some positions. There are a couple that I've had on my mind for a while. If we brought in Cordero, I probably would have moved him back to linebacker, but that did not end up happening. Oh, okay, so we can see the overall ratings of the new players that we brought in. And wow, this was not exactly what I was expecting. Kamani Wall is only a 77 overall. Miles Reeves ends up being higher rated than him. So I guess Wall won't necessarily be our unquestioned #1 guy. Rich Beelan is still the top dog when it comes to overall. He is an 85 with the coaching boosts. But I still don't know if I trust him to be the starter, as we have quite a few other quarterbacks with better accuracies than him. Adam Ford is one of them. I wasn't even intending on bringing him in, but yet here he is. And he's going to be the veteran of this room along with Beelan. Those are our 2 seniors. Keep in mind, though, these are not the final overall ratings. It's still going to be unpredictable who ends up jumping ahead of who come the training period. But this is where these players are at right now, and I was definitely expecting Wall to be at least a few overall higher. I thought he was at least going to be an 80. Wow, our receiver room has gotten a whole lot younger after graduating the 4 seniors. We now do not have a single senior in the room. The oldest players are now going to be Eduardo Polanco and Dante Horner. But here's the catch. Dante Horner was one of the players I was considering changing the position. He is a gritty possession archetype, which means he is a good blocker. So that gave me the idea, what if I make him a tight end? He's 6'3", 199 pounds, and there you go. Oh my goodness, what an overall jump. 84 overall as a tight end. A 9 overall jump if he were to be a tight end, but there's one problem. It's not letting me change his position to anything. This has to be some sort of glitch because we only have 3 tight ends. We have an abundance of receivers. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to change Horner to a tight end, but it's not letting me do it. Okay, I did find a way to work around the bug. Apparently, I just had to change my playbook to Army temporarily? That makes no sense whatsoever, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Dante Horner, I believe, is going to start as our tight end. Let's take a look at some of the other tight end ratings. Yeah, Guillermo's a 68. Manu Shin, 64. Dom Wooden, he's just a nothing burger. So Dante Horner is far and away our best tight end. Take a look at his run blocking. It's 74. Now we have a total unicorn of a tight end that has speed in the 80s, 90 spec catch, and short and medium route running at 82, 87 catch in traffic. This is the perfect tight end skill set at just 199 pounds. We'll see how he holds up. And we also have 3 athletes to assign. Ray Fuentes, he came in as a projected pass rusher and doesn't look like he is really that good at anything else, so we will stick with that. Trey Kafka, wide receiver. Oh, okay, 70 overall backfield threat. 68 carrying, though. I feel like he's probably going to be best as a receiver. I mean, I'm curious what happens if we make him a cornerback. Usually with these two-way player types, the problem with these guys is that their press is really bad. And yep, Kafka is no exception. 48 press. Everything else is really good. He is truly a talented defensive player, but it's just that press rating that makes him pretty much unusable as a cornerback. He could honestly be a safety, but we're going to make him a receiver. Okay, his rating I think went down. I don't remember it being a 61. That's weird, but I guess it doesn't matter that much because we have plenty of other guys. I remember this was a problem that happened in College Football 25. I thought they had fixed it already. Well, the last one is Callum Harris, who actually has some potential as a pass rusher. I like that. He is a speed rusher archetype. He can also play safety. Wow, this guy can really do everything. So I guess I gotta be careful though about assigning players to random positions and then changing them afterwards, because that really screwed Trey Kafka's overall. Well, we'll see if I can fix that in any way, but as of now, Harris came in as a linebacker. We're gonna keep him as a linebacker until I see an opportunity to give him playing time at a different position. Well, judging from what we've seen so far, just scrolling through these roster spreadsheets, it feels like we got better at most positions. Wide receiver, unfortunately, might not be one of them. It's going to be so many freshmen next year and young players. We're going to have to get a big boost from Steven Casper, which is certainly possible. He has impact dev. And can Eduardo Polanco make the leap? Kind of worrying that right now he's our second highest rated receiver. Edge was also not one of the positions where we got better. We did bring in a little bit of freshman talent, but no 4 stars. and also no big-time transfers. So Max Haynes is going to have to be a one-man wrecking crew next year, more than likely. We did retain pretty much our entire interior defensive line, though, as Kevin Otis and Bradley Romberg will be back. I didn't worry too much about linebacker, as Tony Cummings won the Bednarik Award for us last year, and he's going to be back. J.J. McGregor and Warren Spears as well. And then we have multiple freshmen coming in. Cornerback, well, DeAndre Willikis is an 80 overall, so now we have 2 guaranteed 80 pluses who are going to develop in the training period. Hopefully at least to 83, potentially even 85 plus for at least one of these guys. That'd be really nice. Eric Muti is our cornerback of the future. And we'll see if any of these depth guys can make a leap, like Toby Takeoff, Darren Kesey. Their skill caps are not very good. Devin Travis, I guess, has a chance. But even in the positions that we didn't necessarily get better in, I still feel decent about the spot that we're in. So I do think we have a chance to get back to where we were in seasons 3 and 4. I don't believe we got worse as a team, at least not by any meaningful ways. Well, I guess we're now going to see what our team overall is going to look like. Wow, Jesse Rich, elite development. That's the first time we've seen a player upgrade to elite dev in this series. It's training time. We're going to see some big jumps. That's how this game goes. Kevin Otis, impact development after a great first season as our starting DT. And that is all we get as far as dev trade upgrades go, but take a look at our roster now. We have 390 plus overalls, Dion Tonjes, Jesse Rich, Tony Cummings. Plenty of 85 pluses, Kadero Derby, Max Haynes, TJ Tillman, Kevin Otis, Miles Isaac, wow! Up by 8 overall from 79 to 87 as a redshirt sophomore. Bradley Romberg as well, he had the elite development. He goes up by 8 to an 86. We now have 2 superstar defensive tackles after they already performed well last year. Levi Perkins is an 86. Dante Horner, he's an 85. Lamar Williams, 85. Rich Beelan goes up by 1 to an 85 for his senior season. So that's all the 85 pluses we have. We're going to look at some skill caps now, and we'll go by position. Wow, Beelan still leads the pack. He has a chance to be our opening day starter for a 4th year in a row. Can't believe how long ago it was that we brought him in. I guess we could take a look now at how he developed here in his final year of development. Still 86 speed. We knew that his throw power needed to get better. It got a little bit better. 87. Unfortunately, he's capped out as far as accuracy goes, but not really mad at this. And I think I'd feel decent about going back to Rich Beelan. It just kind of feels stale. It feels old. I'd like some new blood here. Miles Reeves goes up by 3 to an 82. And I really like what he brings to the table. 94 throw power. That got a lot better. Similar accuracy. Has a chance to improve, as well as 80 speed. I think Miles Reeves has the best blend of ratings. But now we take a look at our newcomers, starting with redshirt freshman Kamani Wall. We were a little bit disappointed to see that he has normal development, and unfortunately his throw power capped out at a solid 92. Accuracy has a lot of room to grow. Elusiveness, quickness, it is solid, but never going to be elite. I don't know if he's necessarily our quarterback of the future like I thought, but he's certainly not a bad quarterback by any means. And here's Adam Ford. He has 16 tokens to spend, which indicates to me that he is capped out. Let's take a look. The redshirt senior is capped out at 80 overall, 78 speed. Honestly, very similar player to Kamani Wall. Not sure if he's necessarily better, but we have a very interesting quarterback room heading into year 5. Honestly, I think Miles Reeves has the inside track on getting the starting job. I think it'll be Reeves, with Beelan coming in as the special package guy like he did last year. Ford, I'm not sure I'm going to give any playing time to, as he doesn't have a future with this program, isn't good enough to start right now. There are more intriguing options than him, but he does add to our depth. If we run into some quarterback injuries, maybe that changes. Shout out to Anthony Montañez having one of the biggest jumps on the team, going from a 62 to a 71. So these are going to be the new usual suspects at running back, and turns out Levi Perkins is considerably better overall-wise than Cam Settles. Now, I know that might be primarily because of awareness, only 58 for Settles, and it did not get any better during the training period. And that's because it can't get any better. It's stuck at 58. But everything else, like I said, is very, very good. 93 carrying, great elusiveness, and great quickness. So he is going to have a role with our team. And there is a lot to like about Levi as well. 97 agility and much less rough around the edges. Good power, good route running, good IQ. Better at pass blocking as well. So he's not just a runner, he can do a little bit of everything. The difference in speed and acceleration is not necessarily meaningful enough, I think, for me to give Settles the starting job outright. I think he's certainly going to get his fair share of carries, but Perkins looks like the starter to me. 84 ball carrier vision, that's a big upgrade over Settles. But Settles can be our power back, I guess, as 70 trucking is better than anybody else on the team. And looks like our receiver room is not going to be that bad after all. We have plenty of players entering the 80-plus range, including Cam Clements, which I'm excited to see. He now has 93 speed, so I had concerns about not having a speedster. Looks like we got one in Cam Clements. Looking at his skill caps, he is a redshirt sophomore with still quite a bit of room to improve. He could end up having 95, 96 speed by the time it's said and done. Route running could get a lot better over time. It's already in a really good spot. Honestly, the guy kind of reminds me of Cam Thomas back in year 1, as he is a really good ball carrier too. Good change of direction. Could end up being one of our punt return specialists. 70 trucking too. Honestly, I might think about using this guy at running back a little bit. He's going to be our gadget guy, for sure. But Steven Casper is going to be our highest rated, 82 overall. And wow, the 96 acceleration stands out and has really, really amazing skill caps, and he is still filling some of these things out. 98 agility as well. Just a very well-rounded player, already has the sidestep ability too. I think he's going to have a big season. Eduardo. Still, really, 82 speed. He's getting better at just about everything else, but he is determined to skip leg day, apparently. The guy just won't get faster. I don't know if I can justify using him over some of the other height, weight, speed prospects that we have. This is concerning. This is going to be the best offensive line that we've ever fielded by a long shot. Nobody starting on the O-line is going to be under 82 overall. Tyler Rathman, our new starting center, he's really, really good. And everybody else is better than him. Miles Isaac getting that big boost is going to help us out a lot. Take a look at the pass blocking. For Miles Isaac, 95 pass block power. And then the run block is really well-rounded as well. He's decently athletic. He has the pocket shield ability, just everything you could possibly want in a young tackle. I'm very, very happy that Isaac finally has a path to a starting job. It's been long enough. At the edge position, Max Haynes is now an 89 overall. We saw that already. The other players didn't make as big leaps as I was hoping for. Khalid Claiborne now a 76 overall. We'll see if his pass rushing got any better with some of the sacks that he's been able to get in his career so far. Still nothing special, 71 power moves, only 59 speed as well. So certainly more of a hand in the dirt type of guy. He'll be in on running downs, and I could see him making an impact despite the rating limitations. Kind of a similar story to Kofi Taylor Barracks, although Kofi, I think, ultimately was better than this. Kevin Rizzo, 74. Sam Yee, 72. We already saw the upgrades from our stud DTs, but elsewhere, Marquez Cornell is now a 77. He's a really, really good depth piece, as well as Dante Shakir, who's now 71. So those types of jumps are really nice to see when you're not relying on them to start. But the problem is we're going to be relying on Khalid Claiborne and potentially Kevin Rizzo to start, and that's a little bit scary. Some of our young linebackers had interesting leaps. Daryl Papeau now 75. And Warren Spears is up by 1 to a 79. Taking a look at his skill caps, they were really good to start. And I could see him crossing the 80-point mark sometime this season, potentially. If not, he definitely will next year. He has so much room to grow in pass coverage, though. Didn't spend any points here. But once he does, he's going to be a really scary player. Oh, this didn't even click. I'm so tired. I didn't realize TJ Tillman is now an 88? This is one of the best development arcs I've ever come across. He started off so raw, and he has become so well-rounded. He is now a cover corner. Man and zone are in great spots. He's athletic, and we know he can tackle. Wow, 87 tackle. So the guy is going to see the field a lot. Honestly, he could have been our safety if I didn't find Zanai Scott, but how about Clay Armour? He is now an 80 overall. He's a box specialist. We know he's not very fast, but he has 88 tackle. So this is a potential sub-linebacker type player for us. This defense still has its fair share of holes rating-wise. Not every position is filled with studs. However, I do feel like we have enough chess pieces that we could put something really interesting together. Zanai Scott, he was capped out, 43 skill points. He had impact dev, but he couldn't spend any of those points. At the very least, we know he's going to be fast. Man, oh man, Jesse Rich is going to be one of the very best safeties in football next year. It's hard to develop strong safeties, but we managed to do it with Jesse Rich. I could see him going first round next year. 92 speed. He came in, I think, with about an 85 when we first signed him in the portal. And he has really hit the weight room hard, apparently. 86 pursuit, 83 tackle, just every single rating is in a good spot. Zone and man are both at 87 as well. We are continuing the tradition of having great safeties here with the UTEP Miners. It started with Xavier Smith back in year 1, and we immediately brought in Messiah Delhomme after Smith left for Notre Dame. And it has been one of the strengths of our entire roster ever since. Oh, I kind of forgot about this guy. Ron Tillman got better as a punter. A couple years ago, I brought in Tillman to replace Kudavitis, and I guess I just never got around to it. And Tillman now has an 84 kick power, 81 accuracy. He is going to compete with Javier Slade for the punting job next year. Kudavitis, I think, is going to get cut. He's still the highest rated punter, but that 79 kick power is just not good enough for this game. Stephen Caraway, by the way, now has a 95 leg, and he also has some abilities to him now. Gold, deep range, and now also coffin corner, which doesn't apply to kicking at all. I wish he would have gotten a different one. That's okay, though. We haven't even taken a look at any of the true freshmen yet because they're not on this screen. Man, this video is going to be long. Well, I guess we'll be able to do that next week, as now we can encourage transfers, I believe? Yes, we can. And we can do the thing that we've been talking about for the last few episodes. After 3 years in the Mountain West, we have had enough. We are on to bigger and better things. Welcome to the Big 12. UTEP joins a few other Texas schools in this conference. TCU, Baylor is in the conference, Houston, and Texas Tech. But the awkward part is now the conference has an odd number of teams, and I've been told that that is a no-no. So I'm wondering if we can take somebody else with us. The Mountain West has already been gutted. They only have 8 teams. Same with the Pac-12, so I don't really know what to do here. The ACC has an odd number of teams, and they're fine. I'm just worried about the game not being able to handle it when it's not expecting it. I want the team that joins the conference to be one that can actually stand up to the challenge. Boise State has been ranked most years. They're 81 overall. They are just leagues ahead of pretty much every other power or group of 4 team other than us. So they seem like the logical pick. They're the most ready, and I think they finally deserve their shot. So they're gonna get it here. They're now in the Big 12 with us. I was considering taking some of the traditional rivals from the Dynasty with us. Hawaii and New Mexico would be interesting, but I do feel like we'd beat them pretty easily at this point. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to then move Hawaii to the Pac-12 to be that 8th team, and we will then replace them with a team from Conference USA. How about New Mexico State? They'll join the Mountain West. So I guess it's kind of fitting. Our traditional rival, New Mexico State, will join the Mountain West when we leave. Always one step behind us. More like 10 steps behind us. Yeah, I don't think we're going to play them next year. But this is going to be the final Big 12 Mega Conference. As with the addition of UTEP and Boise State, there are now 7 teams in this conference that finished this season in the top 25. And going to the encouraged transfers screen, well, we only have 2 players to cut. I do think I'm going to cut a couple more players in that because there are some players that just don't have a future with us, and I want to just cut some clutter here from my eyes. Sam Ilaoa, I think, is going to go bye-bye. Same with Stefan Montague. He was part of that year 1 recruiting class, I remember. We have 3 punters now, and Michael Kudavitis is going to get the boot. We already are under 85 players, but let's see if I can keep going at all. I'm not going to cut any quarterbacks. Running backs, okay. Yeah, all these 4 can go, honestly. I'm going to cut, I guess, one of them. James Hector, yeah, he's going to be gone. How does one have 98 agility and 82 speed? I'm still stuck on that. I'm also going to cut defensive tackle Josh Starr, as he is not going to get any playing time with us at this rate. And we're also going to cut another safety in Jordan Moses. And I think that's going to do it. We're down to 81 players. And we are now an 80 overall. Our team prestige, are you kidding me? It hasn't gone beyond a 2.5 stars. That's pretty ridiculous considering how much winning we've done recently. All right, here's what I come up with schedule-wise. We are playing 8 conference games in the Big 12. Probably should have switched it to 9 considering the conference is now 18 teams. So we're going to be missing a lot of teams every year. We're not playing Arizona State or Oklahoma State this year. We are playing TCU, the reigning Big 12 champion. But yeah, we aren't getting the full experience every single season. Our conference debut is going to be against Colorado. And I have something up my sleeve for that game. You guys wait and see. But we're going to be kicking off our season against North Texas, continuing the Texas tour. They're going to be coming to our house. It's a team from Texas that we have not played yet. Same with SMU. We're going to be going on the road to play SMU in week 2 before we start conference play in week 3 and week 4, TCU in week 4, and then here are the big non-conference matchups. I have scheduled Notre Dame and Texas A&M back-to-back weeks 5 and 6. Notre Dame is going to be visiting the Sun Bowl, and then we're going to be on the road at Kyle Field, one of the toughest places to play, and I think we're going to be ready for the challenge. I'm not coming in hot with a super tough matchup in week 1 or 2, mostly because I think we have a lot of new players to break in, a lot of youth at a lot of position groups, and I don't know if I'm comfortable debuting a team that I don't quite know how to play with yet against a team like Notre Dame, who is 99 overall, by the way. Don't let the number 22 ranking fool you. This is one of the most talented teams in the entire country. But yeah, I wanted to go with a team on the easier side week 1. I know it's a little bit anticlimactic, but I have my reasons. And we are going to have a couple challenges in the non-conference anyway, just a little bit further down the line. The rest of our schedule goes as follows. We'll play Houston, then Texas Tech. Baylor's also on our schedule, so we're going to be playing all the Texas teams in one season. So 4 different conference opponents that are in Texas, and then 2 more non-conference, so 6 games against Texas teams. So we're making quick progress on the Texas tour. But the final 2 games will be against Utah, who was a solid team last year, and Cincinnati, who was not. We are an 80 overall team now. I do think we have a chance to make it to the Big 12 championship, but it's not going to be handed to us like it was in previous years with the Mountain West. Alright, I've spent a long time configuring this depth chart, and I'm very excited to show you guys what I've come up with. One thing you'll notice right away about the quarterback room is that Adam Ford is no longer here. It was weird that he was even on the roster in the first place. I didn't offer him a scholarship at all. I wasn't planning to bring him in, and then he just showed up for the couple weeks following National Signing Day. But now that we're in the preseason of year 5, he's not here anymore. So our quarterbacks are Miles Reeves, Rich Beelin, Kamani Wall, Anthony Montañez, and Tony Mallory. It's not set in stone yet, but I'm pretty sure I want to roll with Miles Reeves as our quarterback this year. Kamani Wall was a bit of a letdown. You know, I overrated him a little bit when I saw that top 80 transfer portal ranking. I think Beelin was somewhere in the hundreds. Same with Reeves. Wall was the best one that we had ever brought in, ranking-wise. So I thought that was going to lead to a higher rating. It did not. Turns out Reeves is the better quarterback. And while Rich Beelin is still the highest overall rated, I think it's time for a change. We saw that last year when Beelin had his unquestioned quarterback 1 privileges revoked as Tanner Applewhite took over, and Beelin settled into his role really nicely, and it got us as far as the Rose Bowl. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We've already seen Rich Beelin struggle at times when he's asked to completely be in charge of the offense. Miles Reeves, to me, just feels like a more athletic version of Applewhite. You know, he's not as big, he's 5 inches shorter, but the throw power is comparable with 94, which is still far better than Beelin's 87. The accuracies are, I would say, slightly better than Beelin. Beelin has 82 deep, which is better than Miles Reeves' 71, but the ones I really care about here, accuracy-wise, are short and medium. When you're throwing the ball deep, I think throw power matters more than deep accuracy, at least in my opinion. Reeves also has him beat in throw on the run and throw under pressure, and throw under pressure is one that I really care about. We've had a lot of overthrows when Beelan is under pressure. Same with Applewhite, to be honest. And I really wanted to have a quarterback who is calm under pressure. Reeves seems to have that in his arsenal. And at the end of the day, Reeves is a sophomore, Beelan is a senior. I think Reeves has the potential to be the leader of our team for the next 3 years, so why wait? One more season sitting on the bench isn't going to do much for Reeves' development. I think this is the way to really maximize Reeves' potential, and by the time he's a senior, we could see him be maxed out at potentially 87, 88 overall. And one of the skill caps that still has a lot of room for growth is the quickness, so we could end up seeing him be as fast or even faster than Beelan by the time he's fully developed. So I'm pretty sure we have our guy for at least the next year, maybe even the next 2 or 3. But Rich Beelan is not quite done yet. Unless Reeves proves himself to be far and away the better runner than Beelan, I think Rich still has a place in this offense as that short yardage running quarterback. At running back, I went back and forth on this because we got 2 main guys who are going to get the lion's share of the carries in Levi Perkins and Cam Settles. Perkins has the advantage in overall. He has the advantage in agility, change of direction, and a whole lot of other things, such as pass blocking, receiving, route running, everything. Except for ball carrier moves, where Cam Settles is pretty far and away the better back. 92 juke move, and he also has that silver sidestep ability. He's a little bit faster as well. I think it's really close, but I think to maximize both of these backs' abilities, I want Settles to be the back when we come out with 2 tight ends, and I want Perkins to be the back when we come out with 3 or 4 receivers. So I think that's going to take some formation sub finagling, but ultimately I think the workload is going to be pretty equal. And at the end of the day, I think we're going to be having more 3 wide receiver sets than 2 tight end sets, so Perkins is going to be on the field a whole lot. Receiver is where it gets really, really interesting, as we do have 2 true freshmen who are going to get some significant playing time. The main one is going to be DeAndre Capra, who's going to take over the Jaylen Brown role of the offense and be our wide receiver 1 on the left side of the field. You see that he's not our highest rated receiver, but he does have the best combination of height and speed, 88 and 6'5". So I like having a big receiver on that side of the field, especially because that receiver gets pressed a lot. And for Capra, that's actually a strength of his game. He has 83 release and he has the press pro ability, which is something that none of our other receivers have. So Capra could be in for a huge true freshman season. But also, so could Sterling Warlow. I have him as, I think, the backup slot receiver, and also the number 4 receiver in the normal depth charts. He's already our best medium route runner at 90. He has the cutter ability as well. And I'm very, very excited about him with the impact development. Steven Casper and Cam Clements are going to see, of course, increased roles compared to last year. And I think they could both work in the slot, but I'm going to go with Clemens to start because he is our fastest guy. We're going to give him the ball on a lot of jet sweeps. Angel HN and Eduardo Polanco will fill out the back end here of the depth charts, and they'll come in when we go 5 wide. At tight end, Dante Horner will be the starter. Alex Guillermo, the true freshman, will be the second tight end over Manu Shin, the true sophomore. And I mostly put him here because he is a better blocker, he's bigger, and I'm just excited to see what he brings to the table in his first year with the team. He's also going to be our starting fullback when we come out in I formation. So he's going to be a lead blocker a lot of the time, and also he might even get the ball when we run triple option. That'll be interesting. Imagine giving it to a 6'5", 260-pound guy on the goal line. Maybe Guillermo will be our power back. Starting offensive line, Lamar Williams at left tackle, Kaderil Derby returning at left guard, Tyler Rathman takes over the center spot. I didn't realize he had 81 speed. That's one of the fastest O-linemen I have seen. And then at right guard, Dion Tonjes is our highest rated player on the entire team. And of course, Miles Isaac finally gets to start at right tackle. Oh, I almost forgot. I wanted to show you guys the true freshman skill caps because now we can view them. So I guess we'll have to go back to the beginning here momentarily. Tony Mallory will be the first guy. We're going to go by position. Here's what he looks like. The accuracy is pretty heavily capped, and he could turn into a pretty strong arm. He's going to get into the 90s as he develops, but I don't know if he has the potential to be a starter necessarily. Maybe he will be as a senior. Our third string running back is true freshman Frank Davey. We actually have a lot of true freshmen that will not be redshirted this year. That's what happens when you bring in a freshman class as exciting as this one. As for Davey, he was one of the 4 stars we brought in. 89 speed, but unfortunately can't get any faster. Very excited about the other skill caps though. He has a chance to be really good once he upgrades that juke move. The trucking also could get a lot better. I was just talking about Alex Guillermo. Here are his skill caps, and wow, he could become a problem in the coming years. Right now, there's not a whole lot that stands out about his game, but man, once he improves that speed and the route running is pretty much limitless, he could end up having 80 plus for short and medium. If we get to a year 9 in this dynasty, Guillermo is probably going to be one of the better tight ends in the country. But here are the highly anticipated wide receiver skill caps, starting with DeAndre Capra. He looks like a monster, man. I'm so excited about him. He has potential to get close to 90 catching. The route running might be in the high 80s, as well as good juke and spin and speed for a guy that's 6'5". I always like to have wide receivers that can block. That was such a big part of Jaylen Brown's game. And as of now, well, he looks like he is maybe our best run blocker of the bunch, but nothing special rating-wise at 46. How about Sterling Warlow, the 4-star gem? Yeah, just off the charts potential at pretty much everything except for speed. But if he stays at 88 and becomes like one of the best route runners in the country, I will be just fine with that. And one guy that's easy to forget about is Trey Kafka. When I was messing with his position changes, I accidentally tanked his overall. Hopefully I didn't tank his skill caps, and yeah, he could become really, really good. What happened when I changed him to a wide receiver back from a cornerback was his archetype changed from contested specialist to now speedster. I don't know if these are his original skill caps, but I do certainly like what I'm seeing here. 88 speed to start. He could have upper 90s speed if he keeps on developing this. Hands, not very good right now at all. 60 catching. Is that one of the ratings that tanked when I changed his position? I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and check because I may just go change it back to what it was before. Route running, also not great. But ultimately, I think he has the most potential to just be a really fast guy, and I'm not mad at that. Yeah, I think that's what happened. It made his catching go all the way down to 60 when I was messing with the position. He used to have 80, so I'm going to change that back and see what his overall ends up being, because I think that's what he deserves. Okay, I fixed his catch rating. It's now 80, and he is now a 67 overall. Much better. Might even see the field a little bit this year, but still looks like more of a long-term project. And then there's also Nick Abraham. He was one of the gems that we brought in, impact development, but the skill caps don't exactly excite me as much as the other guys do. He could certainly become a very good player down the line though. Right now only 81 agility, 78 change of direction. That could stand to improve. And also, he's one of the slower receivers we brought in at 85. He might end up with somewhere like 88 to 90 speed by the time he's fully developed. But the hands are also pretty handicapped. 72 right now. I don't know if it's ever going to pass the 80 mark. But where he really excels is route running. He's already 80 plus, short, medium, and deep. All right, now that we're done with that little aside, Let's keep looking at some of these freshman skill caps. We have 3 freshman O-linemen, the highest ranked of which was Floyd Lloyd. 76 overall to start, and yeah, I could see him getting into the high 80s, even the 90s. Sometimes the rankings don't lie, and I could see why he was highly ranked. Already a 90 strength, probably has potential to get 95 plus strength. A little bit more of a raw player skill-wise, finesse-wise. But this is the type of lineman that we don't have much of on the roster. Most of our guys are agile, but not very strong. So Lloyd balances that out a little bit. Here is Damian Bohanna, who had the bust label, but ended up having impact development. I'm wondering, though, if he has some bad skill caps. Honestly, not really. The pass blocking isn't going to ever be all that great, but the run blocking certainly could be. He only has 76 strength, so that's one of his weaknesses right now, literally and figuratively. But I'm certainly glad that we stuck with Bohanna despite revealing that he was a bust. And then finally, Dwayne Bowles, the elite development freshman center. As of now, he is not a very smart player. 58 awareness, but just off the charts run blocking potential. Pass blocking could end up getting into the low 80s, maybe? I think this is a future starter at center for sure, but maybe not the absolute superstar potential that I was hoping to see. Alright, so defensively, the edge position gets a little bit interesting considering we lost Charlie Collins and we chose to replace him in-house. And it's going to be a team effort, for sure. We're not going to have another guy that breaks the sack record, although we did retain Max Haynes, so he could end up doing it. But outside of him, we have a lot of guys in the low to mid 70s. Khalid Claiborne is the best of the bunch, and he's a very specific, specialized type of player at only 59 speed. This is not necessarily someone I want on third down out on the field. But still, he's going to get on the field on running downs, that's for sure. Sam Yee as well. He's now a 72 overall with the coaching boosts. And his athleticism is much better. His pass rush moves are much better. I would like to see him get 4 to 6 sacks this year. He has a chance to. Channing Coleman's another true freshman that is not going to redshirt. And he's going to be a rotational, run-stopping defensive end. A lot of potential pass rush-wise as well, but his strength is going to be in the run game, starting with 77 run stopping. That could end up getting into the 90s. Unfortunately, he's capped out at 62 speed. Kevin Rizzo as well will see the field, and Darius Falk. Rizzo is a 74 overall. Similar type of player with low speed, not a superstar pass rusher, but just provides us some strength up front. But this is something I didn't realize until now. I'm going over to the sub or rush defensive end position, and here you see I have a linebacker in that spot. It's redshirt freshman Daryl Papeau. Take a look at his pass rush moves, 87 finesse and 80 power. And he's also not too shabby in the run game as well. 83 block shed, 80 tackle, and he's pretty athletic with 87 acceleration. This is actually somebody that I might consider changing to defensive end permanently, unless we are really thin at linebacker, which we kind of are this year. We don't have many outside of him. But expect to see this guy get some sacks this year with the big neck roll in the back. Warren Spears also might start lining up with a hand in the dirt. He was somebody that saw the field at linebacker on running downs last year, but I think he can do a lot more than that. He's extremely fast. He's our fastest linebacker. I'm hesitant to put him out there in sub packages because of his low pass coverage ratings. But again, the pass rushing is pretty serviceable. 70-70. Not spectacular, but especially combined with the athleticism, could end up doing some stuff. Speaking of linebackers, the starters are going to remain the same as last year. J.J. McGregor at Sam. Tony Cummings at Mike, where he will be one of the best in the country. And then Warren Spears will have the will position. We have a few young guys behind them, like Fernando Govea and Daryl Papeau, who is going to get some reps at linebacker, I imagine, as well. But it is going to be those three the vast majority of the time, because outside of those three, there's a pretty steep step down. Cornerbacks, I'm quite excited about, as we are going to have a much better cornerback duo than we did last year. Tillman and Willikis are both 84 overall plus, and then you got the true freshman, Eric Muti, who is going to see the field. Star development, 76 overall, almost limitless coverage potential. 91 speed is his maximum, but that is solid enough for me. And I think that we're going to get a nice head start on his development. TJ Tillman's going to graduate after this year, and Willikis will have one more year. So Muti is going to become our featured guy pretty soon, but as of now, I have him in the slot. Willikis is also a really good option for the slot, and of course, so is Tillman. But one thing that I didn't like about our defense last year was that we constantly had TJ Tillman in the slot, and he was one of our best cornerbacks, and as a result, that would push one of our lesser cornerbacks to the outside. And especially going into the Big 12, I don't want that happening. I want our best corners to be on the outside all the time with the amount of good receivers we're going to be going up against. So Muti's going to be our main slot guy, but you might occasionally see DeAndre Willikis and Zanai Scott sub in there as well. And then at safety, you got the speedy Zanai Scott and just the all-around star Jesse Rich. But beneath them, Clay Armour should sub in. I actually have him as one of our sub linebackers. That's where he's going to be subbing in the most often, but he also is going to be a solid backup safety who may come in the big nickel packages and also is a very, very good tackler, 88. But we also have a couple newcomers at the position, and the first of which is Devin Wetzel, JUCO sophomore transfer, coming in with 78 zone and serviceable 87 speed. I like Wetzel as a developmental prospect because he's coming in as a sophomore and he's going to have multiple years to fill out those skill caps. And then also we got Zach Strong, who is a true freshman and has 83 zone to start. And the speed isn't great, but it will get better. That is nice to see. Strong could end up being a starter one day. He is a coverage specialist, but I could honestly see him becoming one of our better run defenders with the limitless run support skill cap. One thing that intrigues me is potentially making more use of this gadget position. Cam Clements fits that position perfectly, 91 overall at this position. He has some throw power, so we could end up doing some trick plays with Cam Clements. Angel HN also has the same archetype, and he can also sling the ball downfield. But what I'm most interested in is getting Cam Clements some reps at running back, especially since we don't have a ton of depth at that position behind Perkins and Settles. I haven't quite figured out how to make the most of the gadgets. I think that probably entails doing substitutions in the play calling screen, which I really don't ever do, but I might have to start learning how to do those sub packages so that I can get Clements some reps at running back. I never was able to do that with Cam Thomas back when he was on the team in year one. In real life, Cam Thomas was a receiver running back hybrid, and Cam Clements, I guess, could be the new minor back now that I'm actually going to try to put him in the backfield. All right, it's finally time to set up the new recruiting board for Season 5. And as you can see, we have 18 total seniors, 9 on offense, 9 on defense. That's pretty impressive. We have one senior at every single different position here on the defense. We have 2 senior running backs that we'll have to replace in Perkins and Settles. The hope is that we'll be set up for the future at quarterback, but I will still add a 1 or 2 to the board. Wide receiver, we have 0 seniors after having multiple last year. And our offensive line is actually going to be comprised of 4 seniors and then 1 sophomore on the starting lineup. So that is going to be key to replace some of that talent. We do have a couple players on the roster already, But right off the bat, the top player with serious interest is a cornerback. Bump and run cornerback Stephen Fowler, 52nd in the nation, so just outside of being a 5-star. We also have Leon Willis, an elusive route runner receiver from Michigan. And by the way, it's year 5. I'm taking all recruiting house rules off. That hasn't exactly worked in the way that I would have liked. I'm kind of glad that I did it at the beginning because that led to some cool storylines, like Dante Horner. He was a 1-star recruit in the year 1 recruiting class, and now he's getting a chance to start at tight end after a position change. He's actually very, very high rated. So I guess I'm glad that I did it at the beginning, but at this point, we're trying to win national championships. This is a much improved program from what it once was, with 2 consecutive playoff appearances. All that stuff is in the past. I'm gonna go after the best recruits that we possibly can now. We need a Jesse Rich replacement, and Dalvin Paul is a hybrid, same archetype, and the best safety with interest in us. Cole Whipple, backfield threat. Haven't exactly had much success with backfield threats, but sure, I'll add him to the board. Kevin Otis will be graduating after this year, so might as well add this defensive tackle, Jameer Holyfield. Center isn't necessarily the biggest need, but this guy's in our pipeline, James Sanchez, pass protector. And then here's an agile guard from Arkansas with Lyle Strickland. The best player from the state of Texas is this 5-star cornerback, James Columbus. Maybe we throw our hat in with him. There's also Steve Cornell. The top quarterback in the entire class is Zaire Uche from Detroit, Michigan. How about one from our pipeline? Here's Gene Humphreys from Texas. 6'1" dual threat, sure. Top 100 player? I'll take a look. Then there's also Daryl Kroom. So I guess these will be the main top quarterbacks that I will take a look at. And then as far as players with interest, there's not a huge amount of them. Orlando Ento out of Wisconsin has us 4th, but he's a backfield creator, and I've pretty much given up on backfield creators at this point. Sure, I'll add a fullback who's from El Paso, Texas. Melvin Mallard has us 3rd. Maybe we'll finally find a real speedster. That would be nice. We'll take a look at Manny Stewart from Glasgow, Kentucky. One more tight end would be nice, and again, we don't have a whole lot of interest from tight ends around the country. I'm looking at a vertical threat. That would be nice. How about Leo Cole from Newton, Texas? I'm going to add the top 2 tackles I see here with interest in us. Tevin Longacre and Matt Dumaine. Both 4-star recruits. And here's another 4-star from El Paso. It's Rashad Ivey. This is a well-rounded guard. Should be another year of bringing in some great offensive line prospects. With Max Haynes graduating, edge is all of a sudden going to be a need again. Jaron Westbrook stands out, having a 2nd on his board, but he is only a 3-star recruit. Can we get any 4-stars with serious interest? How about Jay Tonges, a speed rusher? But sure, we'll also add Jaron Westbrooks. Then I'll go with defensive tackle Andre Odom, power rusher at 6'4", 2nd on his board. And I would like to add some more middle linebacker depth, so we'll add the 1 4-star with serious interest, Ross Conrad. A couple more safeties here from the state of Texas. Lee Wilcox, a hybrid, and coverage specialist Frederick Eckert will be added to the board. We'll add an outside linebacker here in Elijah Frisch. And you know what? I wanted to go after a 5-star this year, so why not have it be the top player in the state of Texas, James Columbus, cornerback out of Houston. And lastly, we'll take a look at Memphis, Tennessee running back Jameel Bowser. I sorted running backs by my pipelines here. I wanted to target the highest ranked here that has any interest. All right, it's scouting time as we have 24 different players here on the board. We'll go by position here and start with Gene Humphreys, since we're so good at scouting quarterbacks now. Let's see what happens. No abilities, 91 throw power, 78 speed. This is pretty similar to Kamani Wall, but a little bit worse with the accuracies. And then here's an athlete dual threat. And a heck of an athlete he is. Daryl Kroom might be our next big quarterback prospect. This guy might even be generational. 88 speed, 93 throw power. Just raw talent here. Daryl Kroom is getting a scholarship. 2 running backs, the first of which is Cole Whipple. He is a bust with 82 speed. No, thank you. Jameel Bowser, though, 92 speed. He is an east-west playmaker. 85 change of direction, solid. Hope that gets a little bit better, but decent starting spot. I think he will be our next big running back target. I think this is the first time that I've targeted a fullback. And just for funsies, okay, he is a bust. Nothing interesting here, ratings-wise, but he's from El Paso, so I might end up recruiting him anyway. We'll see. All right, 86 speed for Leon Willis. Can you give me something else to be excited about? Cutter ability, 88 medium route. I think he's good enough to give a shot. Hoping the skill caps allow that speed to get better. And finally, a decent speedster. 91 speed, 93 excel. And really liking the route running as well. So we're going to go after both of these receivers that we have added. 3-star tight end Leo Cole has 83 speed, 82 catching. Not much of a blocker at all, but that is not what I added him to the board to do. 2 tackles, Tevin Longanchor, and we have already unveiled the run and pass block. I think that's enough. I don't even need to fully scout Longanchor. We're going after him. And then for Matt Dumaine, not quite as good, but he has the quick step ability, and I think I am still interested in Matt Dumaine. Now to the guards, Lyle Strickland. He has some good abilities, good mentals as well, and not a terrible starting spot. 88 impact blocking is nice. Rashad Ivey. You know I love my well-rounded prospects. He looks really good. And then for the center, James Sanchez. You know, I'm spending a lot of my hours already. I think I might save him for later. I'm not going to scout him quite yet. Instead, we'll move to the defense, where Jay Tonjes is one of our top. And wow, 86 finesse moves. We have not seen recruits quite like this, especially on the defensive line. We're going to throw our hat in for Tonjes, and now here is Westbrooks. Not quite as spectacular, but he does have 80 power moves. And I don't think I'm going to offer him a scholarship right away, but I will keep him on the board. Jameer Holyfield, number 63 player in the nation, gap specialist, 90 strength, 75 block shedding. Solid prospect. I don't know if it's enough for me to offer a scholarship right away, though. Andre Odom, 90 strength, 81 acceleration, 72 finesse moves for a power rusher. All right, this guy looks like a stud. Linebackers now, starting with Elijah Frisch. Mostly looking at the speed. 83. I'm going to wait on offering Frisch a scholarship. Instead, we will scout Ross Conrad. And the speed and acceleration combination, very nice. Good zone coverage as well. 79 tackle. You know I love my pass coverage-oriented linebackers. I'm going to give a scholarship to him. We have 145 hours left. James Columbus, the first 5-star we have ever targeted. And he is a gem. Oh my, 5-star gem, James Columbus. Can we steal him away from some of these other big schools who are recruiting him? We're at least going to try. Only 90 hours remain. I think that should be enough to get through the rest of our list. Stephen Fowler, 92 speed, 91 COD. Honestly, he's highly ranked enough that this is all I need to know. He's going to get a scholarship because we really need to up that cornerback depth behind players like Eric Muti. We don't have very much. And then lastly, we have 3 safeties to scout. The highest ranked of the bunch, which is Dalvin Paul, hybrid, strong safety. Man, it takes forever to scout these DBs. I just want to know if he's fast enough, and turns out he is. 90 speed, 77 man. Good enough for me. And that only leaves us 10 hours left. I guess I'll use that on Dalvin Paul here. And now he's fully scouted. We know he has 90 acceleration. Really good mix of coverage ratings. Sign me up. So we have offered 15 scholarships out of the 22 players on our board. By the way, here's the Heisman Trophy preseason watch list. Will Wilson, quarterback for NC State, is the top one. And Achilles Smith Jr., Tulsa quarterback, the Oregon fan in me likes to see that. I don't know if we have anyone who's going to be on the level of Jace Clarizio, so I would be surprised to be in the conversation for the Heisman like we were last year, but never say never. We're going to start this year off as the number 21 team in the preseason rankings and B+ for championship contender. And the only player at risk here is Tony Cummings, and it would be quite a shame to lose him to the portal. We're going to have to make sure that contender grade goes up even higher. We're in week 0. We can add some hours to players, and right away we're going to go all in on Daryl Kroom. He has 4 other offers already. Ohio State and Oklahoma, those are going to be tough to compete with, but we're going to give it a shot. Jameel Bowser, 1 other offer. It's from Middle Tennessee. I like to see that. Maybe we won't even have to add the full 50 hours to him then. We're the only offer for Manny Stewart, but we have a lot of competition for Leon Willis, so we'll give him 50. Leo Cole has an offer from TCU, and he's not a super important target for us. We'll give him 25. Man, this is not looking great for Tevin Longacre. He has 8 different scholarship offers. So we're wasting no time sending the house on him. And Matt Dumaine has 5. I guess for now we'll give him 25 since he already has us second. But I'll have my eye on both of those guys. Lyle Strickland, 7 offers. It's going to be tough to land every single one of these guys. James Sanchez already has 4 offers, and I might have been late to the party with him. I don't know if I want to spend my hours on him at this point with how many other battles that are going to be very close. Jay Tonjes has lots of offers. We're going to send the house for him. And Jaron Westbrooks does not have a single one, so I guess I'll be the first to do that. And I don't even think I need to add any hours to him at all. 3 offers for Andre Odom, our top defensive tackle prospect. We'll give him 25. That leaves us with 85 to spend across the likes of Ross Conrad, who has a few offers himself. Oklahoma State leads. I don't know if we'll be able to send the house for anybody now. All right, we have 60 hours left to spend across a few different defensive backs. So I'm going to have to get creative here, because I really want to be able to send the house for James Columbus. I'm actually going to take the 25 off of Manny Stewart. We'll give him 5, actually. And then actually for Jameel Bowser, I'm going to take the 25 off and give him 10 instead. That leaves us 95. So we will then send the house for James Columbus. And we will then give 25 hours to Stephen Fowler. And then we have 20 hours remaining to recruit Dalvin Paul. So I guess I'll just take the 5 off of Manny Stewart and we'll give it to Dalvin Paul, who'll get 25 hours, which I'm still worried is not going to be enough considering the competition. But we have so many players we're going after that we just got to live with it. That's all of our 500 hours. It really is a bummer that we didn't get any extra hours for this season, even after the playoff berth and the playoff win. Maybe one more great season and we'll finally be a 3-star school. We advance the week, and I only get a little bit of information here. Gonna go into the recruiting screen right away. We first take a look at Daryl Kroom, who currently has Oklahoma as his top school, Ohio State as his second, and we're still behind by quite a bit, but keep in mind we're coming from outside the top 10, I think, so this was bound to happen. Just let this develop over the next couple weeks, and then we'll see what happens. All right, none of the teams that are targeting Leon Willis seem to try very hard the very first week, so I think that we can afford to let up here. by just a little bit. We're going to give him 25 instead. We're up to third place for Tevin Longacre. Second place for Matt Dumaine, as Pittsburgh has moved all the way up to first. Let's see what happens if we give him 10 more. I don't know if I want to give him the full 50 right away. We're climbing up the board for Lyle Strickland. We'll keep that 50 right where it is. And then for Rashad Ivey, the 25 hours, looks like it's been competitive so far. No changes there. And I think at this point it's going to be tough to target James Sanchez, so we'll just remove him from the board. Jay Tonjes is going to be very tough, especially with the Tier 5 pipeline for Tennessee. I think I should probably get into the mix for Elijah Frisch before it's too late. He now has 5 offers. I do like him, so I will give him a scholarship, and I'll give him, I guess, 10 hours for now. Hopefully that's enough to stay competitive. OSU has taken a huge lead for Ross Conrad. I'm not ready to make my big move yet, but I guess I could spend the remaining 25 hours sending the house for Conrad. I mostly want to look, though, at Dalvin Paul, as we are currently in second place. Florida State is ahead of us. So it really just comes down to who's the most important to us. You got Dalvin Paul, you got Stephen Fowler, and you also have Ross Conrad that we could add additional hours to. I don't know if I'm ready to make that decision yet, so I'm just going to add 10 hours to 2 of them and then 5 hours to the third. We'll go 5 hours with Stephen Fowler and 10 extra hours for Dalvin Paul. So that is our very early recruiting board for year 5. And I'd say we're off to a solid start. This is the most aggressive we've ever been, targeting mostly 4 stars, even 1 5-star, despite that 5-star not having previous interest in us. But we're going to go for it. And if we lose out on some of these targets, I think it'll be okay, because there will be plenty of 3 stars that we can probably add to the board later in the season and be okay. But honestly, I think our work is done here. We have made it through the long, grueling offseason, and we're finally in week 1 of 2029, where we will face the North Texas Mean Green, who have already suffered a loss. And that loss was to the Conference USA's best, FIU, 42-24. North Texas is a 69 overall, which makes them one of the higher rated schools in the group of 6. Let's take a look at the preseason top 25. Alabama gets the most first place votes. Oregon comes in second. The best team in the Big 12 is projected to be Oklahoma State all over again. And then Arizona State, TCU, and UTEP, all in the top 25. Texas Tech also sneaks in at the very end. Week 0 is in the books, and looks like Boise State, the other new Big 12 member, has already suffered a big loss to Washington, and Notre Dame, who we will be playing later this season, lost by 18 to Clemson. Our friends, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, played a close game against Arizona but fell just short. As the Logan Krause era officially begins, he goes 19 for 39. I'm looking at the top players in the whole country, and this was a jump scare. Sammy Frisch, 99 overall tight end, actually was a player that I tried to pursue in the transfer portal, I think a couple years ago. I just wanted him to be, a number 2, number 3 tight end who was good at blocking, but turns out he's from New Jersey. He has that Tier 5 pipeline boost, and Rutgers pursued him hard. They ended up getting him. He is now the best player in the country. That is insane. And he's not just a pure blocker. He's also pretty fast. He can catch the football. I mean, this is a first-round pick in my book. The best defensive player is linebacker Charles Smith of Maryland, and then J.D. Branham, who transferred to Duke this year. Montel Earl, who got an interception on us in the Rose Bowl, he is the 4th best player in the country. Best quarterback looks to be Bryce Baker of Michigan State. If we sort by position, best running back is Duke's Moses Peppers, followed by Lamont Neighbors of Ohio State. Best wide receiver is Michigan's Darren Moffitt. Malik Yates of Georgia right behind him, Isaiah Haywood, Quincy Trinidad. We do have two of the best guards in the country. Kaderil Derby looks to be top 10 at left guard, and Dion Tonjes is top 5 at right guard. Look at that 97 run block finesse. And as far as strong safeties go, Jesse Rich is the second best in the entire country, actually tied with Ohio State's Devontae Tull. I would not be surprised to see Jesse go round 1 in the upcoming draft. But I'm going to leave it right here as we set the scene for year number 5, our first as a member of the Big 12 Conference. And it's going to bring new challenges, new opponents, a change of scenery for sure. I couldn't be more excited to bring this one to you. I've been working hard on this project for the last year, and I'm hoping to get Season 5 done in a pretty efficient manner considering College Football 27 is coming out very soon. And while I know I'm not going to finish the series up by the time release day comes around, I don't want it to go on that much longer. Maybe a couple months if I'm really efficient. We'll have a national championship to our name and we can call it quits. But that's still a long time from now. We have a lot of work to do. UTEP gonna enter the season as the number 21 ranked team. It's our first 80+ overall team in Dynasty history, and we're hoping it's the best season in program history. Thank you all for sitting with me through a very long off-season video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of the moves down in the comments section. Subscribe to the channel and turn post notifications on if you would like. Hope to see you back for the beginning of Season 5 very soon.